guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US. Well, I'm here with my card and a tag. I'll show you the tag here in a minute that I made with the One Stamp at a Time blog hop yesterday. I was running behind trying to get ready for my live too, so I wasn't able to do the video. So now I've got time to do the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Our theme was Shabby and Chic, and we could do a boho chic or a shabby chic, and I did the shabby chic. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to be teaching you a technique. See how those flowers are a little different than what you normally see. This is the Floating Reinker technique. It's been around for a while, and I thought when I saw these stamps, I thought, oh, I got to use that technique on this. It'll look so neat. So if you'd like to stamp along with me, just look down the video description below and click on that blog post link. There you'll find the supplies and the dimensions, paper dimensions you'll need to make this card and the tag, and you can come back and make it with me. And while you're there, also make sure you scroll near the bottom of the post. You'll see the list of the other ladies that are in the blog hop and get to see their beautiful projects. They made some really pretty ones this month. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first off, I want to show you a sneak peek of some new products that are going to be available for you to purchase March 1st. As a demonstrator, I get to order them early. Love that perk. And first, I'll show you the Irresistible Blooms Bundle. This all comes in the Hello Irresistible Suite collection. And we got to, there's going to be a lot more online exclusives is what they're going to be called. They aren't in any catalogs. It's all on the online store. There'll be more coming out. They gave us a little selection to be able to buy. I haven't seen the others, so I'll be surprised March 1st too, just like you. But I was able to buy this beautiful suite. And here's the Irresistible Blooms Suite. This is what I'm using for the card. And when you purchase the bundle, you save 10%. So it's really good to get the 10%. But there is an easy button. You just do the one item number, and you can get all of these to get the whole suite. And it does include the bundle price, not the individual price for the stamp set and the dies. And then it also comes with loose frosted dots. Now, I'm not using these because I didn't think they quite went with the boho feel, or not boho, the shabby chic. But aren't those pretty? I love how frosted they are. These could be used for shaker cards. They're large enough you could put a glue dot on the back, I do believe. I haven't had a chance to play with them. But we've got some new in colors. I mean, yeah, they were in colors that are coming back. They've kind of given us a sneak peek. There is going to be a color revamp starting with the new annual catalog. I haven't seen any of the colors, but they have given us a little hint that Pretty Peacock and Lost Lagoon are going to be coming back. So there's some Pretty Peacock, I think is that dark one. I don't think there's any Lost Lagoon in this one, but there is in the paper. So I thought I'd show you the paper real quick. Gorgeous. It is a 6x6 pack, as you can see. You get 4 of each design, and there are 12 designs, so there are 48 sheets altogether. And we've got this one here. Let me get this bundle out of the way so I can really show you the paper. And then here's the other side to it. Then we have this one with the other side. Then we have these two. So this is one side and that's the other side. Okay, and then we've got these. Then we have these two, and these coordinate with the dies. So that one will fit there. And the smaller ones, let's see if I can get this on here right, though. There we go. We'll get those. Now, there is a little one here. I wonder if that'll get these. Oh, I think it does. Yes, it does. I didn't notice that. So we've got ones for that. So I love it when they've got DSP that goes along with the dies, too. And then we've got this one here, and this one will go with all of the leaves. I do believe there's this one and this one, and it looks like they've got more for this one too. So all those fit. And then, oh, I love this one. I can't wait to use this one. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. And this is the other side to that one. This is the one I'm using on my card, this one right here, but this is the other side to it. Another pretty one, that's like that one before, but with the darker colors. That's with the Lost Lagoon and the Pretty Peacock. These also match up. It's just another version, color version. So that's the other side to it. So those will match up with the dies again. And we've got this one. And then this one will match up with those leaves also. So as you can see, it's beautiful paper. I love it. So that's everything in that suite. Now I'm going to show you the embossing folders. This is actually one pack. They're basic 3D embossing folders. And I've already used all 3 of these on some projects. Let me show you real quick. This one is actually from my card club this month. I normally don't show these to the public, but I thought this time I will, because that's the one that goes along with this folder. So that's what you get with that one. Now these are 2 that I made last night in my live. This is my current card class at home. When you place a qualifying order, you can get the card kits for free, and you get 2 of each of the cards, or 3 cards altogether. But I'm just showing you 2 of them. If you want to see the rest of them, there's a link below to my current card class in the video description. And also there is a link to my page that explains everything on how you can get the card kit free. So there's that. So you see it's not the regular polka dot. They're kind of big and they're real smooth. They're not real bumpy. I mean, it's just a smooth bump. There we go. So that's that one. And then this was another one I used. This was a neat technique with the dies, so make sure you see that video. The ladies that watched me live really liked that. And then this is the one that does this one right here. So that's a nice set of embossing folders. I can tell that I'm going to be using those a lot, because I've only had them for probably maybe a week. I think less than that. And I've already done 3 cards with them. And then last but not least, there's this beautiful paper right here. This one is called the Naturally Gilded Specialty DSP. This is a 12 by 12 pack. You get 2 of each, and there are 3 different designs. This one's the gold design, and I'd say that's very vanilla in the background for sure. And this one's a silver. It's not the same, as you can see, but this one's silver with white in the background, and it is just white on the other side, so it's a single-sided set. And then this one with the copper. So this one is the Naturally Gilded Specialty DSP. So we look on the lookout for those. There is one more thing, that classic letters set. It's an alphabet set. I didn't get that one this time, but it is a nice one. I can tell by looking at it. Okay, now that you've seen some of the new products that are coming out in March, let's go ahead and get started with this card. And you won't have, if you're a customer, you don't have this yet. If you're a demonstrator watching, you can get this and come and make the card with me. But I wanted to show you the stamps you need, so make sure you get this if you like it in March. We've got the big flower and the smaller one. I need both of those, and I'm using both of the leaves. And I'm also using the I Like You. Now that's everything I'm using on the card. With the tag, I'm using the hello, and I'll be showing you the tag here in just a minute. And with the dies, I need the 2 framelit type ones for the flowers, and these 2 leaf ones. And those are all the dies I'm using this time. I can't wait to use these 2. Those are going to be fun. I'm also using a die set I haven't used for a while. This is the Eden's dies, and I'm going to hurry up and show you. I'm not using the stamp set, but this is the Eden's Garden bundle. This is actually something you can get free during celebration. So if you haven't gotten this yet, for the dies alone, it's worth it. But these are really pretty too with this set. It's been a while since I've used it, but I did use it a lot when I first got it. You can get this free with a $100 order before shipping and tax. So isn't that a great deal? This is probably usually bundles around $50. So if you place a $100 order, you're going to get this bundle for free. So it's a very, very good deal. But I just wanted you to be able to see that stamp set. And then with the dies, I'm just using this border die here. And then to keep going with the Shabby Chic, I'm using the Pretty Flowers 3D embossing folder, and this is in the annual catalog. And last but not least, I'm using, hopefully I'm getting this in the light okay, this is the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. But you'll get to see it in action here in just a minute in case the lighting's not just right. Okay, first off, I'm going to show you this really neat technique. This is a piece of shimmery white cardstock. This is in the annual catalog. It's 5.5 by 4.5. That just happens to be big enough to do all the stamping. I'm going to be doing some embossing. So I've got my heat tool out, and we need Versamark ink pad. And then I'm going to take the big flower here, ink this up. Versamark takes about 10-15 minutes for it to dry, so it works perfect with heat embossing. Before I forget, I want to grab my little embossing buddy. This is part of the Embossing Additions toolkit. This takes any moisture that might be in that cardstock out. That way, when I put the embossing powder on, it's not going to stick where I don't want it to. It's just going to stick on my stamped images. And since the Versamark stays wet for a while, that will collect all that embossing powder. We'll hold that down for a few seconds. So I'm just doing this one once. I know you can't see that. I can barely see it with the lighting in here. Hopefully I won't stamp over it. I'm going to grab the smaller one. We will see it really good as soon as I put some of the embossing powder on. Okay, I get angled right here. I think I've got room here. So there's one there. And I'm doing 2 of the small flowers. So let's go ahead and do this. And I will put it up here. Okay. Then I'm doing the big flower, the trio leaf, not flower. And let's see. Put one right here. And then I'm going to grab the one that's just got 2 leaves. I'm going to have to angle this to me so I can see what I'm stamping. Okay, I've got room right here. And then I've got room up here in this corner. Okay, so we've got 1 of the 3 leaves stamped, 2 of the 2 leaves, 2 of the small flowers, and 1 of the big flower. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm going to get my white embossing powder here. I keep my white in here. With the toolkit, there is a powder pal that you can use. That one I use with just about all the colors. My clear and my white, though, I like to keep them separate because they tend to collect. If there's a little bit of embossing powder from a previous time that's darker, it ends up showing in my white and my clear. So that's why I keep them separate. So I'm going to put these on here. And hopefully you can see it. I can definitely see it. Now you can kind of see how the flowers and images are starting to show up. So I'm just going to be covering this up. So far, I haven't overlapped anything. I can see just fine over at my desk, but I've got really bright lights, and it's kind of almost too bright sometimes. Get some more here. I think I've just about got them. Oh, yeah, I did just fine. Yay. I made it bigger than it needed to be, just so I'd know I'd have enough room for these images. Okay, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to kind of flick it a little bit. Take any of the embossing powder I don't want. Oh, it looks like I got some drops here. That's okay, because they're going to be die cut anyway. But there is a nice trusty brush, so I'll just take those off real quick. Because you can just brush it right back into the container, so that way you don't waste that embossing powder. So now let's get ready to heat this up. So I'll close this up. And I'm going to use these wonderful tweezers that also come and you squeeze them to open them, and then just hold it when it claps on. I love it that it's plastic here because I don't think it messes up the paper like those metal ones do sometimes. And the grip is really nice. So I've got this all the way up on high power because our heat tool has 2 settings. So for the embossing, I want it to be on the highest. And I'm going to kind of angle this. Hopefully you can see this. I keep it in one spot until it gets heated up. And then it starts getting shiny. I'm going to stop here for just a second. Hopefully you can see the difference. You can see this side's still powder and this side has started to melt, so it's a nice shiny white. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish this and get the rest of them embossed. Now, once the heat tool gets to full heat, it melts really fast. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, I've grabbed one of my little clipboards that I have, and I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet and put this in, because I'm going to be spraying some water on these flowers I just embossed, and this will keep this from getting all wet and start to get warped on me. And then I'll bring in this that I just embossed. I'm going to go ahead and put it inside the clipboard too. That way it stays in place for me and doesn't start moving around. Now I'm going to take this water spritzer. I filled it up with water. I always make sure I know where the little sprayer is, because I have been known to spray it in my face, not noticing it. We don't want that. So now I've got it facing down. I'm just going to do one flower right now. The first time I did this, I covered the whole thing, and it kept drying on me really fast. So I'm going to go ahead, bring in this block. I'm going to put a little pool of petal pink right here. I'm going to grab one of my water painters. This is a small one. Now pick this up, I'm going to hold this down flat because you see how it kind of curled up a little bit. And then put this to the water. Now, it's a little hard to see with this because the petal pink is a little bit, oh, there, now you're going to see it. I just didn't have enough ink. See how that water is just, it's grabbing all of that pink and just kind of like magic. You're going to really see it here in a minute once I start adding Flirty Flamingo to it. But it just makes the ink float. That's why it's called Floating Reinkers. So I'm just making sure I get it all with the petal pink right now because I want that to be my base. And I'm okay with some of it being a little darker than others. I actually like that effect. Okay, now I'm going to grab a paper towel and get all of that ink out, kind of squeeze this to bring some water out, and that'll help clean it off too. And I don't have to clean the petal pink off quite as much because the Flirty Flamingo is darker. So now I've got my Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to put that one over here. That way I don't get them mixed up. You really can tell that this is lighter and this is the darker one, but just to be on the safe side. And while I'm at it, I'm going to grab soft sea foam. This is going to be for my leaves. And put it there. So now I just want a few little areas, and it looks like it's starting to dry on me just a little bit. So I'm going to grab that spritzer. So yes, you can add water again after the ink's on there. I'm going to grab a little bit of the Flirty Flamingo and just put it in like the bottom parts of some of the petals. See how it's kind of taking on, let me grab a little bit more. See how it floats a little bit in that water? If it doesn't float, then that means you need to add a little more water. Just spray it again. Don't worry about getting too much. I don't think that's possible. I think I need, actually too, you can squeeze a little bit of water out of your brush if you just want a little bit. That's what I did just then. And that'll get some more pooling for you. And I can tell I need a little more of the petal pink right here, because sometimes the petal pink kind of goes away on you a little bit just because it's so light. Sometimes it gets diluted too much. Okay, so that's how I did the flower. Now let's go ahead and do a leaf quick. So I'm going to grab my spritzer again and spray it. Make sure I'm going the right direction here. Oop, I think it's spraying the wrong thing. There we go. You really have to watch that. I think I was spraying the flower again. I'm going to bring in my soft sea foam and put it in the parts of the leaves the most that are open. The ones over here has more embossing to it, but I'm still going to cover it up because there are little veins in there. If I just put it on top of there, it'll seep into where those veins are. And I'm okay with the ink going in different places, not just in the flower and the leaves, because we're going to be die cutting these out, and it kind of looks neat having the color around those flowers after you die cut them. So that is the floating technique. Isn't that cool? Now I'm going to keep doing this, so I'll just fast forward the video a little bit to finish these up. Okay, looks like I've got them all done. Now I'm going to bring in my heat tool again, and I'm going to put it on the low setting. Now I've noticed when I push this, it usually goes right to the highest, and then I just bring it back one. So I'm going to put this on there. This helps it dry a little faster. And actually, I'm going to take my paper towel, and on the spaces outside of the images, I'm going to get some of that water up, because you can notice how some of it didn't just stay in those little images. But this will help it dry a little faster too. I don't want to do it the paper towel on the flower because that kind of messes up the look. Oops, I do want to take this silicone mat out though. I'm not sure if this gets hot enough to melt that, but we're going to get that out of the way. But I'm still going to keep it on here for now. Because I'm going to lift this up and probably dry it. Oops, I don't want to do it on the high. I almost forgot. Because that's going to start melting the embossing again, and we don't want that. I'm just trying to dry the paper a little bit. I'm not going to worry about getting the paper completely dry. But this definitely makes it to where I can still work with it. I thought about making some ahead of time, but I want to show you exactly how quick. It really doesn't take long at all. I was surprised. It's been a while since I've done this. Now, you can't do this technique with basic white. The paper just wouldn't be able to handle all of this water. It would start falling apart on you. But our shimmery white, it works pretty good. Now, I'm going to turn this over. I'm even going to hold it up a little bit because you can tell how it's soaked through. Get it back on the lowest one. And this will also help it flatten out a little bit. Now, the paper will still be curled a little bit even when I go to die cut it. I kind of like that look because it makes the flowers curl up like real flowers. So I'm not worried about getting this paper totally flat. It actually is a look I like. And this really is drying really good. Yeah, that's good. So I don't even need to speed that up. It's still a little pliable because it's got a little dampness to it, but not much. But that is perfect. The adhesive's still going to work on it. Now, as I'm looking at it, there are a couple little places I wish I had a little bit more of the petal pink. So I'm going to pick a little bit of this up and just add a little bit. Because sometimes the water takes away a little too much. So you just go back and you can add a little bit more in places that don't look like there's enough color to them. And like I said, don't worry about getting out of the lines. The embossing resists the ink, so you don't have to worry about those getting colored in. Now, if you used blends to color these in, the blends actually do dye the, let me get a little bit off of here. Do dye the embossing, but the regular inks don't. I can just tell my leaves need a little bit more green on that too. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So now it's time to get the die cutting machine out. First off, I want to get my Stampin' Cut Emboss machine ready for die cutting. So we've got the base platform, then the number 1, then die plate number 2, and a standard cutting plate number 3. I'm going to bring in those images that we just did that really neat technique with. And I'm going to put this on. This little flat area here goes with this little flat area up here. I'm making sure that image is centered perfectly, because the opening should go right along the edges of the stamped image. And I'll put some tape on this one. Then with the little one, I see this one's kind of sticking up and that one's sticking up. So I think that's how, that's how that one lines up. I just always find something, if it's hard to tell which way to put it on, find a distinguishing mark, like something coming out like that little petal. Now I'm going to grab this. Oh, my tape's in the way. You know what? I'm going to move that tape a little bit. And by the way, this is Post-it tape. You can buy this. I got it on Amazon. You can also use just Post-it notes, and you could use washi tape too. But I'd suggest using Post-it notes or this Post-it tape because it comes off a lot easier than the washi tape. Because sometimes the washi tape will even mess up your image. Oh, speaking of the tape, I need to get one more. I thought I had enough out. So this is what it looks like. And I'll put this right here. Oops, I need to put the tape, I think, is having a little trouble because the paper is a little wet. But I know it's going to work because it worked for me yesterday. I think I got that lined up again. There we go. I just didn't push it down far enough. Now I'm going to grab another standard cutting plate. It holds it long enough that you can get this on here without the die moving, and that's what we're going for. So we'll run this through. And first I'll show you a leaf. Isn't that neat? So there's one of the leaves. Go ahead and get the other one. This is the one that had the 3. Love that embossing with it. Then we've got the flower. There's the flower. Isn't that gorgeous? When you first have it on here, it kind of looks like a little bit of a mess, but once you die cut it, it looks so pretty. I really like how the flowers turn out. The leaves turn out pretty good, but the flowers are gorgeous. And then we've got that one. So I'll hurry up and die cut these, and then we'll do some do the other die cutting. So there's that flower. And no two flowers are going to look the same. There's the small flowers, and they both look totally different. No matter how many of these cards you make, your flowers are always going to look different. Same with the leaves. See, I like that leaf better. That looks pretty. Okay, so we've got a little more die cutting to do. Now I'm going to be using that Eden die. And this is a piece of basic white. It's 5 1/4 by 1. And I'm going to line this up so the image, this edge here, the straight edge, I'm not going to worry about. I'm just kind of looking at this. I'm kind of looking at the bottom edge to see if it's straight. But I want these to be near the top of the paper. I'll put tape on both ends. We'll run this through. Now you need 2 of these. I'm just going to die cut one. I've already got one die cut, so you don't have to sit and watch me do another one. but the pieces come out so quick. Now, there'll be a few that will stay stuck in the die, but they come out really easy. Let's see, all those pieces came out with no problem. And here's my second one. So that is all the die cutting. We need to do some embossing. So to get ready for embossing, you just need the platform. And I do need a standard cutting plate again. This is not a 3D. This is a regular embossing folder. I'm going to grab a piece of petal pink. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And just put this right in here. It doesn't have to line up because the flowers are kind of going every which way. I still kind of look at the bottom though with that line. Fold first, and then you grab another standard cutting plate. So with this, you use pretty much the same sandwich as a die, but you take away the die plate for the regular embossing folders. And then we have this the pretty floral image. I thought that looks so good for the Shabby Chic. Okay, we are all done with the die cutting machine, so let's go ahead and put this away and finish the card. Okay, I do have a little more stamping to do. So I'm going to grab this little piece of basic white. This one is a 2 3/4 by 3/4 inch piece. And then I'm going to use the Lovely Labels. Oh, there, you can see that a lot better. Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. Couldn't remember the name. But I'm using this one right here because I thought that would be good for the Shabby Chic look I'm looking for. So this guide, the 3/4 inch, you can do a 1/2 inch, 3/4, and a 1 inch. So my 3/4 goes right there in the middle. I'm going to put it in as far as it'll go and punch. And there we go. Now I can do the other end, but I end up covering it up, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to take the I Like You stamp and my crumb cake ink this up, and I'm going to stamp it towards the right side. Hold it down for a few seconds. There we go. So we've got that ready to go. So it's more to the right than the left. And then I'm going to stamp the inside of the card. So this is actually, you can do a 4 by 5 1/4 like I normally do. I'd accidentally picked up a piece that was 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 in my stash. And I liked it better. It had just a little bit more of a border of the soft seafoam card base, and I liked that. So I went ahead and stuck with it. I'm going to grab the big flower, and I'm going to clean off the Versamark that was on it. And then I also want the stamp with the 2 leaves. So let's go ahead and clean that off. I'm going to grab my petal pink ink pad. And since I'm using basic white, I definitely didn't want to do that technique from the front. And we'll put this right here. Hold that down for a few seconds. And I've got our petal pink flower. And then I'm going to grab my soft seafoam. And I'm just going to do partial of the leaf. There, we've got that. This is a real light green. And I also think I might need to re-ink mine. I'm finding out that some of my ink pads have been used so much, they're getting a little light on me. So there we've got that. I love the flower images in this. They are so pretty. And then I'm going to grab my crumb cake again and use another greeting in the set. This one says, I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. So I've got I like you on the front and a nice little friend sentiment for the inside. So that's with my crumb cake ink. And put that near the top center. There we go. So now we've got the inside of the card done, and that is all the stamping we're going to do. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my card base. This is soft seafoam, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Get my bone folder out, and I'm going to line those corners up. Get that folded. Put this to the side. I'm going to grab that petal pink piece. I'll just lay that on top. I'm going to grab a piece of that Hello Irresistible DSP. This is 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to grab these 2 borders right here. Okay. So I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet again. And I'm going to put some adhesive right along the edge here. Get this going. I'm going to go ahead and go all the way down the edge. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and go all the way down the edge. Since I'm right-handed, it's easier for me to have it on the right side. That's why I turned it around. So now I've got adhesive all the way across. Had a little adhesive on here. I just rubbed that off. That's why I used my silicone craft sheet. I've got a little bit that came off of here. Throw that away. Then I'm going to grab one of the borders. And you see that stitching right there? I'm going to line the edge of this paper with that stitching. That helps me know if I'm getting it straight. That looks pretty good. So push this down. And I don't have to worry about this sticking to my silicone mat on this side. It would definitely be sticking to my work surface if I didn't have that on there. Bring in the other one and line it up the same way. Getting the edges, the ends lined up with the ends of the DSP, and then lining up that long edge with the stitching. So I thought, oh, that definitely looks boho chic. I'm not boho. I keep wanting to say boho. Shabby chic. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now we'll go ahead and put this on the front of the card. Well, on the petal pink piece. We haven't put it on the card yet. I think I'm going to put even some right here across there. And then I'm going to put this right here on the left side, like so. That looks pretty good. And there is a little bit of cardstock hanging over. That's why I put it on this piece before I put on the card, so that way I can turn this over. I can grab my paper snips and just cut that off. A lot easier to do that before you add it onto the card base. Now that that's all set, because every once in a while it might slide on you when you go to cut it, and you might make it just a little bit longer than you want it to. And sometimes too, when you emboss cardstock with the folders, it makes it shrink a little bit too. So that could have also happened. And then I'm going to put this right here in my card center, like so. I really like the soft seafoam with that petal pink. It's really pretty. Okay, while we're at it, let's go ahead and put the inside of the piece in so we don't lose it. So get this prepped with the adhesive. And this will just go right inside here. There we go. So I really like having just a little bit more of the green of the card base showing. I just thought that looked a little nicer. Okay, now let's bring in these flowers. So we got this one, this one. This one is going to be up on dimensionals. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. And I'm going to put a couple. Actually, I think I'm going to put 3. I know they're close together, but I'm going to be sliding leaves and these flowers underneath it a little bit. And I don't want the dimensionals to be in the way. But having a 3 little triangle thing here, that'll make it so this doesn't wobble on my card base. So I'm going to grab take your pick tool and take the adhesive off, or the backs off, I mean. And I'm going to lightly put this down. I'm not going to put it down all the way. That way, if I want to move it, I can. And then these, I'm going to be putting some leaves under them too. So I'm going to try to just keep my seal adhesive in the center. And I also kind of like it because these are still curling a little bit. And they will have that neat curl effect. Give a little more dimension to them. Even though they're attached with just regular adhesive, I can kind of pop these up just a little bit if I want them to curl a little bit. Okay? And with them being just a little damp, they're a lot easier to curl too. So we'll do the same thing with this one. Just put some here in the center. And I'm going to put this one over here like so. Okay, now let's bring in our leaves. I've got 2 of the double leaves and 1 of the triple. And I thought the triple needed to go with the big flower, of course. So I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to make sure I'm okay with the leaf going over the petal pink layer, but I don't want it to go past my card base. And that looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and push this down all the way because I can tell I like where the flowers are at. So they're on really good. Put some adhesive here. And once again, I'm just putting adhesive on the bottom part of the leaf. So that way, if I want to curl up the leaves a little bit, the ends, I can do that. Put one there, and then this one is going to go right up here. Kind of curl a little bit, make sure it doesn't go over the edge of the card base. There, now we've got all our pretty leaves and flowers on there. I just love this technique. I got to remember it, and I don't do it as much as I should. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Okay, now I'm going to grab the greeting. And this one is going to go on the flower a little bit here. But this end, so I don't need to put a dimension on here, but I do need one on this end, okay? So I'm going to grab my dimensionals again. And on the end where I punched, that's the one I'm going to put that on. And I'll just put some regular adhesive right here, okay? this off. Oops. Bring this in. I don't want it covering up my flowers too much. So I'm going to kind of come down here near the bottom, like so. And that looks pretty straight. There we go. So now this end is hanging onto the flower, which is holding it up, so it didn't need a dimensional. This one needed the dimensional to keep it straight. Okay, now I'm going to do a bow. This is our white crinkled seam binding ribbon. I'm going to fold it in half. It's a 24-inch piece. And I wanted to make a double bow. Whenever you do a shabby chic look, if you see those, a lot of them have the frilly looking bows on them, the really pretty bows. So I'm doing an easier way, hopefully easy. It's folded in half. I find it easier to have the fold over here on the right. I'm also right-handed, so on the left side, maybe it's easier the other way. I'm not sure. But for some reason, it seemed I had more trouble with it if I had the fold on the left. So I'm just going to do my regular bow. And I'm keeping it folded for right now because I think it's easier to hold on to these pieces instead of having two separate pieces. And then I can play around with it. Now that I've got it cut, tied, I'm going to take my scissors and then just cut the fold so that I've got two pieces. But it helps a lot, but it goes on a lot easier if you keep it folded while you're tying it. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Okay, because I don't want the bow to be too big, because then it'll cover up my flowers too much. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to grab some glue dots here. And I'll just put a glue dot on the back of my bow knot. Bring this up. And now I'm going to put it here on the bottom corner and kind of angle it of my greeting. So now you see why I didn't go ahead and punch this, because my ribbon's covering that up. And then I'm going to kind of mess around with it so it looks, so you can see both bows in there. Okay. Then I'm going to bring my scissors in. I'm not worrying about getting them cut at an angle that much, because it is, with it being crinkly, it really doesn't matter. But kind of separate those out a little bit. If I can get a hold of it, there we go. If you wanted to be really brave, you could do fold it 3 times, like do a 36-inch ribbon and do it in threes, and you have threes. But I thought, I'll keep it to 2. That still looks good to me. Now this one looks like it's sticking out a little bit more, so I might figure out which one is doing that one. Oh, it's this one. Bring it down a little bit. There, that looks a little better. So you just keep playing with it until you like it. And then we've got to put some bling on here. So I'm using my iridescent pearls. As you can tell, I've almost got this one used up. I've got a lot of the small ones. I have to admit, I think I use the small ones the most. You can't tell looking here. So I'm always glad that they have a few more of the small ones. But I'm going to use a big one and put it here on the end. And normally I use odd numbers, but it's actually looked better when I used 4. So I'm still using 3 on the actual card base. I'm going to put another big one down here and a small one about right here and another small one up here. And this can just, so that's actually 3 on the card base, and then I put 1 on the end because I just thought that needed a little something. So that is my take on a shabby chic card with that really neat floating reinkers technique. Now, I told you I was going to show you my tag that I made with it. Whenever we do the blog hop, we always do a coordinating product with it. And I'm not going to make one because it's super easy to do. What I used is the, what is this one called? This one is called the Something Fancy dies. This is in the January to April mini catalog. And this was the die I used to make the base of the tag. And because of the flower having more pinks in it, I decided to do the soft sea foam. So there's the actual tag. I did a short border and put that on here just like I did here. Did the floating reinkers. This is one of the small flowers and one of the double leaves. And then I used the hello that is in the stamp set with crumb cake ink, and then put some pearls on it. So it's the exact same technique as this, just in tag form. So that way you could give this to a friend, give her a little gift, and put the little tag on the gift. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to stamp with me again, make sure you click that subscribe button below and then find the bell icon after you subscribe and select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video and you won't miss anything. Now, if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours. I'd love to send out your first set of catalogs free. Here is the annual catalog. This is the January to April mini catalog. And this is a celebration that ends at the end of this month, February 28th. This is when you get free products. So with every $50 that you place on an order before shipping and tax, you can pick out one item, or for every $50 on your order, you can pick out an item in the celebration. There are some that you have to go up to $100 to get, but most of them are $50. And so just click that contact me link below and send me your email, your mailing address, and I'll get these mailed out to you right away. So that'll be your first set. I will gladly send to you free. Okay, here are the projects again. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to have you watching. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.